Konnichiwa, child des. He calls me his child des. Dusty Rose des. Yes, you are at the correct channel. I'll explain momentarily. Hello. Sorry it has been dead silent. I've been a lot more busy than I expected, as per usual. On the writing front, I broke the 40,000 word rewrite curse on the Ramara phenomenon. The 40,000 word rewrite curse is, in the past, I would write roughly up to 40,000 words of a story, not necessarily this one, but a story, and then I would decide that I had contradicted things toward the beginning, therefore I had to go back and rewrite it from scratch, and then I would get through it, and then I would maybe, if I had gotten through it at that point, I would then restart again, having made more changes and contradicted more things at the beginning. So it would just go in a perpetual cycle. I decided we're not doing that this time. I am currently at 49,000 words, which is like, the first time in maybe 20 years? 20 years trying to write a story like this that's happened. My husband and I have really teamed up on this. He's really helping me. He's practically a co-author. I know some people are like, oh no, but you're doing all the writing work. I'm like, you really don't understand how much world building he's doing, because I don't know how to world build and I don't know how to logic this story, and he really has a knack for that. So, however, I'm still having trouble making myself write a lot of the time, and truth be told, a lot of times I still am running away to do other things rather than, face that. But I'm getting there. My guess is by the end of the year, it might be maybe around 60,000 words. I mean, that's a small fantasy novel at that point, which is kind of exciting. And of course, when I'm not working on that, when I'm avoiding it, I've been doing a lot of work on the house and the yard. The house needs another round of repairs. There was a massive heat wave in Houston that lasted for months, record-breaking, and it killed a lot of things in the yard because we don't have a working sprinkler system, and I hate taking care of the yard. So now I'm out there, now that it's cooled down a little bit, hacking things up. I've also been working with my parents on their YouTube channel. My parents run a small music ministry called Improbable People Ministries, and I've been working on their YouTube channel a bit. I am no expert, but I can do, a little bit here and there, and helping them with a new round of newsletter emails. And to top it all off, I have been learning Japanese. Timely, no? The current chapter that I'm recording for y'all is the chapter about Japanese Americans out of ethnic America. So my husband and I had a long conversation. We are interested in trying to move to Japan and see how that goes. Yes, we understand you can't just move to Japan. Yes, we are aware of the complexities. I'm giving you the nutshell version of the conversation and the path we took to get there. We, of course, don't know if we would like to live there. We don't know if we're the right sort of people to live there. There's really only one way we could know that, which is if we speak the language, if we live there for an extended period of time and actually try to integrate while we're there. So, to put feelers out, so to speak, we are for sure going to move there and live there for a year while we enroll in Japanese language school. We expect that may happen sometime toward the end of next year. That's a loose guess at this time. That's gonna be a really interesting adventure, to be sure, and I'm starting to look forward to it. Did you know Japanese has 3 character systems? I have recently finished learning the hiragana alphabet, which calling it an alphabet is not technically correct, but let's just call it an alphabet for the sake of simplicity. You use the hiragana for, shall we say, native Japanese words. I am working on learning the katakana, which covers the exact same sounds as the hiragana, except you use these for foreign imported words, and I believe for proper names, but I have to check that. Then of course there is the kanji, and the kanji are like picture words, whole concepts, and I'm a little intimidated. I haven't even touched that yet. I'm still working on katakana. I've only been learning for like 2.5 months. We're trying to get a head start. So, considering a year-long trip to Japan and possibly more brought me face to face with a certain reality. So put a thumbtack in that, and let's talk about the fact that everywhere I have moved, I have taken my physical book collection, which is several shelves worth of books. I took it from Los Angeles to Seattle, from Seattle back to Los Angeles, and from Los Angeles over here to Texas. I have moved every 1 to 2 years since I turned 18, and every single time I have brought my physical book collection. Many boxes of books. I couldn't tell you exactly how many books, but probably at least a couple hundred every time. I have always resisted getting an e-reader because I love the feel of a physical book in my hand. I love turning the pages. Some people talk about the smell, and I'm like, yeah, but I only really smell books when I walk into a used bookstore, you know? So it's not so much the smell for me, but it is the tactile, the nature of holding the book. There's something to it for me. I guess I'm a weird millennial that way. But as I really thought about it, I realized that taking that collection to Japan is a step too far. It would probably be more cost effective for me to jettison my entire inventory and rebuy it over there rather than ship them, which meant I had to seriously consider for the first time in my life that an e-reader might actually be a good solution. And on top of that, when I found out that there is specifically an e-reader that's not a Kindle, it's called a Rakuten Kobo. This is not, nobody's paying me to talk about this, by the way. But with the Rakuten Kobo, what I get to do is I get to connect to Overdrive. And what Overdrive does is I get to log into libraries to which I have a library card and borrow ebooks, for free without paying for the copy. I mean, yes, there's a time limit on it, but basically I can drastically reduce the amount of money I spend on books. Of course, I'm going to buy some copies of books. Anything that I'll need to read over a protracted period of time, I'm probably going to buy. But let's say it slashes the amount of money I spend on books by at least 50%, maybe 75%, maybe more. I'm not a math person. Those are just rough ideas. So that leads me to an interesting question, which I never really had to consider before. Do the optics of how I read to you on this channel matter? I kind of had the idea from the start that I should look like I'm reading to you in the same room, as if I'm sitting next to you reading from a book. This is what it looks like if I were reading off of the Kobo, or it might look like this. Currently I'm reading a book in the Fablehaven series, so it looks something like this. Does it matter to you that it looks like I'm reading from a real book? Because if it does, I could probably work something like this. I would probably find some kind of nice looking large book, maybe a nice decorative sort of book, and I would essentially read like this. But there would be no turning pages because I would be turning the page on the digital reader. Can't change that. So I guess the main question is, do you care? If you don't care, I can make a decision, and it's probably going to be reading straight from the reader. If you do care and you have a strong preference, please let me know, and I can take that into account. It's going to be a while before this happens, but it's also beginning to be in effect, actually, because I'm not buying new books anymore, at least not physically, because I'm not going to be taking them. So future books I buy will actually probably be on here. So this will probably have effects into the channel in the near future. So actually I take that back. Even before I move, this will start to become a thing. So I kind of need to know, what do you prefer? I can't promise that I'll do exactly what you want, especially because other people might want different things, but I'm going to listen and take it into consideration. I will tentatively leave comments open in perpetuity for this video in particular. Well, I think that's all for now. I'm going to get back to recording the chapter about Japanese Americans. Speaking of which, I'm sure this is probably way too formal for anybody who natively speaks Japanese. I'm just starting to learn, so hajimemashite, Dusty desu, Shufu desu, Dokusho ga suki desu, 34 sai desu, dozo yoroshiku. And that is, as far as I understand it so far, a formal introduction with a few pieces of information about myself in the middle. It's funny, I'm always apologizing for my pronunciation of non-English words and non-English names in all the books that I read, and I'm going to end up being able to pronounce the Japanese ones perfectly. Maybe not right now, but if there are ones in the future. Hopefully I pronounced them pretty well so far, but find out, eh? Anyways, slow pace is slow pace. Thank you for your patience. Glad you enjoy this. Please let me know about the optics of reading. I hope you have a gentle rest of your week. Looks like Halloween is upcoming. I hope you have a fun time. I'll see you later.